Hope the video turned out. Hello, I'm
our-
Randy.
I'm Mary.
Hi,
Hi.
this is Mary,
And that's Randy.
but that's beside the point. Today, we're talking about lighthouses and cherry pie.
Yes, the two things that Door County, I think, is famous for. And when you hit Door County in July, you gotta do cherry pie.
Well, there is the goats on the roof of the restaurant. They're famous for that too. The other thing they're famous for is shipbuilding and all the traffic that comes through here. Probably less now, more pleasure boats now than it used to be. Although Sturgeon Bay, the town that we're close to, still has a number of pretty large shipyards there.
As you're driving around, you have to watch as you go to the other side of Sturgeon Bay. It's kind of chopped up because of the bay, because the bridges open up to let the tall ships through.
They've got 3 bridges. Hoist the drawbridge. They've got 3 drawbridges here in a relatively short distance, probably from 1, 2, 3 to the furthest one. It's probably not a mile.
Probably not.
So I thought that was interesting, but we have gotten caught a couple times as we were trying to cross the drawbridge to get from one place to the other. Real pretty. First day we got here, we went to the Maritime Museum. What did you think about the Maritime Museum?
I thought it was interesting. There's 2 parts to it. Well, actually, there's 3 parts. There's these 2 rooms you can go to find out some more basic stuff. They have the tower that's 10 floors. There was really cool stuff in there, but the way it's set up, it's really hard to get pictures, really good pictures to show what it really is all about. Well, the way it's set up, though, is you start out by watching a movie, and then you go to the tower, and they take you to the top, and each floor of the tower represents a portion of the film that you just saw. That's how it's set up.
But bunch of lighthouses in the area. We probably have seen about a half dozen of them, and I don't know how many there were, back in the heyday. One of the lighthouses we saw was manned by a operational Coast Guard base, small one, but it was a small lighthouse, so they probably don't need half the Coast Guard there. But
it was interesting walking down to the Coast Guard, because on the ground they had public side, private side, and a line to tell you where you had to walk so you weren't going on the Coast Guard side.
Right.
And you couldn't go all the way out to the lighthouse, but there was a concrete pier that you could walk pretty far, get pretty close to the lighthouse.
And that was right by where they, when was that? Back in the 1800s, I think, they dug a canal that opened up passage from the Michigan side to Sturgeon Bay.
Right.
Opened that up for shipping and for transport and so forth. And it's very active. We saw, I don't know, at least half dozen, 8, 10 boats of different size, private fishing vessels that went back and forth. So it's active today.
And not only could you go out towards the lighthouse, but along the road leading up to it, there was these little side roads you could take and then walk up and really be seeing that canal.
Observation area.
Yeah, that was really cool. We walked up there on one of them and just kind of walked a bit, took a look around, saw several boats going through at that time.
There was another lighthouse that we went to that we saw that is being restored by the Maritime Museum, that society, and it's in process. They were restoring a couple of the outbuildings, but the lighthouse, and they were giving tours and stuff of it as we were there. We saw another lighthouse called Cana Lighthouse, and that one is pretty well restored. We took a little tractor ride over a little walkway, a little pathway over to the island, and that was fun. Coco was along with us on that ride, he had a good time. But that lighthouse was really rather nice.
And you could actually walk up to the top if you wanted to. It was 80-some steps to get up there, but when we were there, there was actually a line.
There was a line
of
out,
people
out the door waiting to go up. So we decided not to wait. Instead, we went out to the lake shore. The lake shores were just really pretty. The lake shore was, instead of sand or rock, it was seashells. And you could notice the seashells when you were standing up. I told Mary, I don't think she noticed it at first.
I didn't.
I said, that's shells.
But when you look at it, you think at first it's just sand.
Yeah, just sand.
White
or
sand.
Small rock.
But it really was, it was all just tons and tons.
All shells.
Of these tiny shells.
Tiny little shells.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, but the seashores are just really pretty around here. Well, I think the one that I'm thinking here that had the real white sands was when we went out to Washington Island on the ferry. Mm-hmm. And it was Plum Island that had two lighthouses on. One that was more directed, pointing across the bay, and then there was another one that was directing out towards the Big Lake, as they speak of them here in Wisconsin. But those beaches were really nice and white, or very light tan beaches, real pretty.
But that was nice. We took the ferry out to Washington Island. We took our truck with us, so we weren't going to just walk around the island, whatever. And when you get there, amazing how they jam the number of vehicles on those ferries to get you over there.
They had four or five ferries that were just running constantly. You know, there were two at the docks always, one unloading, one loading, and then taken across. And it was maybe a 15, maybe 20-minute ride over to Washington Island. And when we got over there, you know, we started following a map, and then I made one of my navigational decisions to go another way. And we went,
He went right instead of left.
We went around the island, went on all the little rustic roads that are there.
And remember, it was getting around lunchtime, and we were going to stop for lunch. And there was this one place that you had read about before we went over called, it looked abandoned.
So we went down to the place that was voted the best cheeseburger on Indoor County.
Yeah.
And it was there on Washington Island, a place called the Albatross. And it was a small place. I had their signature cheeseburger called the Albie. And it was good. It was good. Mary had a cheeseburger.
They tell you that they have the best cheeseburgers, just not the fastest. There is no indoor dining in this. They have picnic tables with umbrellas, and they have swings that you can sit on and do it. So it was really nice because we had Coco with us, so he could sit there and bake French fries the whole time.
They have a tiki bar in back if you want to have a little alcoholic beverage. Like I said, we drove around. We saw, not too far from there, we saw a replica of an old Swedish Viking-influenced building that we took a bunch of pictures of. A lot of wood carvings on the inside. We'll share some of those with you, some of the round wood carvings. But those were just really attractive. That whole place was attractive. And what else did we find there?
Well, while we were walking around, there was a sign that said it was with a labyrinth, and we thought, whoa, this is pretty cool.
Yeah,
we've been to two other labyrinths, and then when we got there, it said, coming soon.
In progress.
But the funny part was, as we were leaving, we ran into a couple with several children, and they were from Dayton, actually not far from where I worked.
Dayton, Ohio, right. They knew where Mary worked and so forth.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of serendipitous.
Yeah, but that was a beautiful place.
Very, very unusual. Yeah, very unusual.
And it's something like called a Dave Kirk or something like that. I'm really bad with pronunciation.
We've got the sign for it.
Yeah.
I think it's connected with the Lutheran church that's there.
Yeah. And then the other place we went to see was the lavender garden. There's a lavender farm there, and they just have this beautiful, beautiful garden of all different kinds of lavender. got some nice pictures of that.
Multiple acres.
Yes.
Multiple acres.
It's just beautifully laid out. And
all kinds of lavender, purple lavender and purple lavender.
And then there was some purple lavender.
All kinds of lavender.
But there was also white lavender and I think some pink lavender too. The only thing with going to that is that you can't take your dog inside the farm. You can have your animal with you and stay in the outside areas, but they don't allow any dogs or any animals into that farm because the lavender is not just used for fragrance and items you display in their home, but they also use a lot of it in cooking, and so they don't want the lavender to be contaminated. They do have a gift shop where you can go. They have Danish and they have cookies and ice cream made with lavender in it. We weren't quite that, what's the word I'm
We
looking
stuck with the theme of cherries.
They had delicious Door County cherry vanilla ice cream.
Because the theme of Door County this time of year, July, is cherries.
Yes.
The cherries are being picked and they're readily available, and we've had a number of pieces, probably three different types of cherry pie so far, sweet to tart, and different kind of crusts on it. Very, very good. We'll probably have 3 more types before we leave here in the next few days. This area up there is just really nice. Everybody, they have their boats out and they're playing frisbee and throwing. There's golf and tennis up there, obviously, and people out enjoying the food. We had a real good pizza up there. What was that place called?
Wild Tomato.
Wild
was
Tomato.
that the name of it? Yeah.
Really nice pizza. And the price was not anything out of the ordinary. Everything, when you eat out now, is really kind of outlandish.
Crazy.
But nevertheless, what you have to do is make sure that you order something that you can have at least another meal out of. That's the key.
That is the key. That way, it isn't quite as bad price-wise.
I didn't get lunch. One of the interesting things here, Door County, I don't know if it's that way throughout Wisconsin, but in Door County, they have restaurants that serve breakfast and lunch, and then they have businesses that serve dinner meals.
Right.
Breakfast and lunch are open until 3. And then the dinner meals, they're supper clubs. But that's been something that we've found out. We've tried to stop in the evening and get something, and no place is open except for the supper clubs.
Supper clubs, yeah.
And a little bit of culture for Door County, something to be prepared for.